Hey everybody, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to my photo editing live stream. Today we're doing it sort of later in the evening. I think someone last week had requested to try to do it at sort of different hours, so I said, okay, I can try. Anyhow, uh, what we do here is we edit. You submit your photos before the stream starts, and I edit them here for you live using DxO Photolab 9. And it's really just to sort of demonstrate the tools and talk about or show you my workflow for editing photos. And hopefully you find that helpful, particularly if you're new to DxO9. If you're using the trial or maybe you've just recently purchased it, this will be a good little kind of walkthrough. And also, uh, I'm an affiliate for DxO, meaning, I have some links down below if you'd like. If you're new to DxO Photolab, you can get a 15% discount and download a free trial. What I recommend actually, Black Friday is around the corner and every year they have a deal. So, just use my link to download the free trial and then later, if you decide to purchase it and there's a good deal around Black Friday, that would be the time to get it. And if you're thinking about upgrading, there's usually Black Friday deals for people upgrading as well. So hold your breath for that one. Seriously, it'll come. It does every year. That said, I see John is here. Good to see you. And Bamsem, good to see you. Or Bombs. All right, let me figure out. I'm doing this a little differently, uh, because I'm trying to improve the quality of the stream. So hopefully the video and the audio quality is pretty good right now. I'm gonna make a couple of quick adjustments and we'll get started. And I did read emails. I got one from Paul saying it's midnight where he is, so he can't be here today with us. And also I got one from Anthony. Um, Gave me a little background on his the images that he submitted today. And I'll do the best I can. Um, let's see. You're midnight too, huh, John? Man, it's rough. Okay. Uh, and believe it or not, doing it at this hour is hard for me too. I'm really a morning person. After 5 or 6 o'clock, I start to wind down and thinking about getting ready for bed. All right. Where's Photolab? Here we go. Now, that's not it. There we go. Awesome. All right, so we'll start one here from I guess this is I'm not sure what the name is here. I can't read that, but that's okay. So we have a picture of a dog and yeah, it's a very nice portrait. Let's see. Um okay, so let me get my mind straight. I'm sorry. So basically what I like to do is I like to just open the image and think about the overall composition, if I need to do any cropping or uh, horizon corrections, any kind of geometry. And then I think about the exposure. If it's too dark or too bright, maybe I want to make some global changes. But if the exposure is pretty good to start off, like this one is, usually I go right into just some local adjustments after I make all the geometric changes. And then, oh, the other thing I look at is white balance, and white balance looks perfectly fine here. So we're starting off with a very good image here, technically speaking, and I think even the composition is pretty good. I might just go in a little bit tighter, and what I'll probably also do is just get rid of this leash. I'll just brush it out with a healing brush and brighten the eyes, and maybe add a little more light and warmth to the top of the head here and cool off the background a little bit. And that's it. So let's try and do that. So I think just a little bit tighter shot. So I'm going to use the cropping tool first. Oh, I'm sorry. Before I do any of what I just talked about, I also like to apply a basic preset, which is essentially just optical corrections from the DxO optics module, DxO deep prime noise reduction, and then a couple of minor tweaks on chromatic aberration and sharpening. So it's a preset that I made. I'm still working on it. Once because since we updated to DxO9, uh, it's changed a little bit so that my previous preset isn't optimized for DxO9. So I need to kind of optimize it for DxO9. Um, but okay. I think that's pretty good right there. I don't think we need to go any tighter. All right, so let's just add a little bit of light, um, just at the top of the dog's head. And I'm going to use a relatively tight mask here with the chroma and luma sliders, particularly on the chroma. Move this up here. And okay. So I'm just going to add a little bit of light here. So maybe just a linear push at first. All right, that's looking good. A little bit more down here. And a little more here. Okay, let's add some more. All right, good. And then I'm going to add a little bit of warmth. I'm just going to gradually slide up the white balance. I think that works. Let me just look in here. Okay, we have a little bit of softness there, so I may have to go back and do some additional sharpening. Okay, yeah, Anthony, I got your photos, um, and I got your email, and I read that. Uh, okay, so I think we're good. All right, let's work on the eyes a little bit. So I'm going to make a new mask. And eyes, I just normally I just push the shadows a tiny bit, throw in some clear view to make them a little bit shiny and some micro contrast to help bring out some of the speculars. And I think that looks good right about there. Let me just spread this out a little bit. All right, let me just do a quick before and after real quick. Okay, that's good. And let me bring in, see if I can take out this leash. So I'm going to try the repair tool and see. I probably don't need to use one that big. Oh, I got my opacity down. I was doing some other stuff earlier. That looks good. And I'll just come in very tight and just finish this off like that. A little bit there. Maybe back off the feathering and just come in a little bit tighter here. Kind of back it off. All right, that's good enough. Okay. Um, Let me just see. Anything else I want to do? That's the before. That's the after. Okay, so I think I just want to throw in a little more contrast, a little bit more light on the side here. I like the texture. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to add one more, just a little mask in here. I'll just use a control point. And let's just give a little bit more light in here. And then I'm going to add some contrast. A little bit less light. And then a tiny bit of warmth. Not as much as up here because this is a shadow area. All right. And then a little more contrast around here. I think I can do it globally. Uh, let's just let's just push the contrast slider. Yeah, a little bit more light right there. And then I think I'll add a vignette too. So if you don't have Film Pack installed, the way you can do vignettes is just use a control point. Just put it, anywhere you want. Then invert it and then pull the sliders down to 0, the chroma and luma sliders. And then you can just do a linear pull on the exposure like that. I think I'll brush out just a little bit of light that's coming in here. Let's move that. And feather it. Okay, that's good. All right, I think I'm done. So let's I wanted to work on the sharpening a little bit. So I'm going to use a loop tool. There's a little bit of chroma noise in here too. Did I not? Oh, I didn't apply the optical corrections. Let me do that real quick. Just going to do it manually. There we go. Okay, let's go with the unsharp mask. There must be some motion blur or something here because this lens should be sharper than I'm getting here, especially at this distance. But I'm going to have to use a pretty big radius to get the hairs to come out. Okay. How about up here? It's almost like it's motion blur. But you're at a pretty decent speed. Yeah, it looks like motion blur here. That's really weird. Because this dog doesn't look like it's moving at all. But anyway, let me back off. I think right about there looks good. All right, let's export that. And we use the original folder, suffix, call it DxO, and export. All right, the first export always takes a little bit extra time, but actually that one did pretty fast. Just 11 seconds, not bad. Um, so I can reset this, compare it to the output, and this side by side. Okay. Um, so yeah, I added a lot of light and warm light specifically to the image so you can really see the dog's face. And then brighten the eyes and a little bit of a crop and got rid of the leash. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Okay, so I think that's all it needed really. And a little bit of sharpening because it is odd. There's just motion blur or something here. Yeah, when I shoot my dog, I usually do 1/1000th of a second generally, because they do move pretty fast. But this doesn't look like a shot you would need at shutter speed like that. But let's do a slider and just compare. I think, yeah, that looks pretty good. All right. Um, let's do the next one. And there's a note here about critique the original. So I put yours down here. So let me just look at your edit real quick. So, uh, this is all very subjective, right? So that's why I don't like to critique photos. But you can see the differences here from what you did and what I did, right? You really, you really went for a punchier, more dramatic image and crushed the blacks here, or the shadow areas. Um, you didn't really bring out the eye very much. I would have brought that out a little more. And you did a good job bringing the highlights back in on the top of the head, which is the same thing that I did. And then you also looks like you muted the colors in the background a tiny bit. So overall, it's a very similar edit, and you went with a square crop, which, I think works just as well. Uh, but I would, I'd like to see the details here. So that's why I brought out the shadows on my edit. So, but it's a nice edit, nothing wrong with it. Just going back to my edit real quick. I wonder if I can compare it. Yeah. So there's there's your edit, there's my edit. So I just went with a brighter, I went brighter, filling in the shadows. That's it really. Okay. I have a lot of photos today, so I'm gonna try and move quickly. I spent a little extra time on that, but I will try and move along here. So this looks like the same dog. Um, but maybe not. But it looks like it. Okay. So let's see. I think same thing. We're just going to add some light. So I'm going to apply basic preset first, and then let's go and develop this and just add some light. We'll do a lot of the same things here. Where's my, since this is actually a pretty similar image, it won't take that long. I'm just going to bring some light in on the dog. A little bit right there. Tighten up the chroma and luma. And then just add some light there. Add a little bit of warmth. Fill in the shadow here a bit with some detail using micro contrast. You pull the blacks just a little bit there. And then on this gentleman here, let's just brighten his face a tad also, like that. And the composition, I should have thought about this, but I think composition wise, a square crop will look good here, right, right about there. See if we can keep a diagonal some sort there. Maybe just come in a bit like that. That's a little bit too, yeah, that works. And then let's just temper the background a bit. So I'm going to try and use an AI tool this time. And let's see. Where's my AI? This one. Do select background. Hopefully it works. It'll probably crash. But it's been working pretty lately, but yeah, it didn't work. So yeah. Uh, why did my stream stop? Let me close and reopen. There's still a glitch somewhere in this. I mean, it works, I'd say about 80/20. Like 80% of the time it works, the AI, when I do like a subject select, like select background, select people, select animal, whatever. And then every now and then it'll do what it just did. Okay, so I need to get back to that image. It's loading. Do 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 do. Okay. Let me look at the chat section while that's loading. Oh, so see, Adam walked in there. Let's see. So I noticed with the Fuji body in the color black and white render menu, it already knows my Fuji camera and offers me film simulation rendering. Yes, they did add that in Photoshop 9, the Fujifilm colors. It knows my EM1 Mark III, but not my OM1 Mark II. Meaning, because I've been editing, I just added an OM1 Mark II image. But if you mean the color profiles, maybe not. I haven't checked. I usually just use natural color profile. And then Mickey says you couldn't find the raw file. Okay. It's all right. I'll work with JPEG. Moxie says skip it. It's okay. We're almost done with it. And then Adam says maybe hide the dog's excitement. Maybe. And then did you download the newest update this week? Yes, I did. I downloaded this morning. Actually, this is the first I'm using it today. I haven't really done any photo editing today. I also have the NVIDIA optimize the graphics usage. Okay. I have to look at my settings. I've been distracted with other things this past week. All right, someone suggests I kind of uh maybe maybe do a little brush on that, I guess, because it is a little distracting, even though it is what it is. I don't like my composition right now. I feel like I can go in even tighter. Yeah, that works better. Not tighter, but centered more. And then, yeah, I can temper this excitement here a little bit like this, just desaturate it or yeah, that's good. Just basically desaturate it a little bit. And then let me check some fine details and what will be done. You know, I don't know what it is, but oh, I need to back these off. It's like, what is wrong with the lens? But now I got it. All right. I need to fix this. I was playing around the other day with these settings, trying to optimize them. All right, I think we're good now. So let's export that. I was going to try and temper the background. That's what I was going to do. So let me just pull the AI mask. This time I'm just going to use the pointer. Maybe, maybe the rectangle tool. Nah, I'm just not getting anywhere today with this AI. You know, I've been going for the last 5 years without AI. I think I'll just keep doing it without AI. I'm just going to temper this background manually. It's not that hard. And tighten up the Luma mask and just temper the background a bit. And add a vignette. All right, now I'm done. And we'll let that export. Oh, sorry. You guys can't see me editing. Uh, my bad. It's since I'm trying to improve the image quality, I'm not paying attention to my screens. Uh, where's the other button here? Oh, here we go. All right, so let's reset it and compare it. So here's the original, and then here's the edit. And I think, yeah, I think that works a lot better. Nice tight crop. And, you know, don't have the distraction of this parked car and this tree, all these things around. You can just kind of focus right on the this man and the dog. Okay, let's see if I can do the next one without any issues here. All right. I think composition wise, it's almost perfect. Let me apply basic preset. Just make sure I'm centered here. So I like to use these little markers here to center things. So I'm going to center on the tree and check my spacing like this. And let's see, this needs a little bit of leveling as well. I think I might be able to do that with just perspective click here. Ooh, no, no. I'll just use the horizon. Just need to straighten it a tiny bit. And the question is, do I include any of the sidewalk or do I just simply, yeah, I think we need a little bit of the sidewalk here. Hmm, guess that's okay. I'm debating if I have enough room for a vertical, maybe. A little breathing room here and here. So you're not quite centered. There's still a little bit of geometric distortion in this circle. Uh, that's okay. All right, let me punch in because I feel like there's some chromatic aberrations and things going on. I'm gonna back these off. I need to fix my preset. This all looks good. Now it's just a bit overexposed. Maybe I think maybe a black and white would be better. And let's do that. Let me go back to some global changes. Then I'm going to temper or add definitely going to need a vignette. And see if I can temper this foreground a bit with a control line. Yeah, there we go. I think the sky is already clipped. I don't think there's anything I can do there. Yeah, not much. So we won't touch that. Maybe I need to temper more gradually like this. Okay, I like that. Let me go back to the global settings. Let's soften the image a bit. And then add a little light. Hmm. And just let me look at the color again. Yeah, that's not gonna work. I think black and white works best. A little bit stronger blacks. And then let me check my center. I feel like I'm just off a little bit. Yep, I think that's it. All right, so I probably don't need to export this one. So I didn't really have to deal with any kind of noise. And I softened the image so we don't have to really pixel peep for sharpness. Um, but I think that works as a black and white. I kind of like it because really there's nothing in the sides or in the background that add anything to the tree, in my opinion. So I just cropped them out. All we have to look at is just the water dripping off of this tree, which is kind of interesting. If we do a slider, that's the before. Yeah, I think that looks all right. Okay. Oops. Let's go to the next one. Thank you, Jeff. This one's from John. Ooh, looks like a Florida bird here. Okay, so let's apply basic preset. And let me pull off this sharpening there. Let's do a square crop. A lot of wildlife, I do square crops. Because I like to just be nice and tight. There's a little crab down here, which is interesting. Must be getting ready to feed or something. A lot of times boaters or and stuff, they throw food off the pier and the birds are always waiting for it. Because there's a crab down here too, waiting for food. That's what it looks like anyway. All right, let me temper the highlight a little bit there. And then let's bring in the eyes. So I'm going to use a new control point. Just come in there. And I think maybe just clear view and some micro contrast. Just a tad of brightening. We can do the same thing for the beak. I'll just use a auto selecting brush thing. Oh, that's what I should have used in the last image for this background. Anyway, add some clear view and micro contrast there. Go back to this and just pull the highlights even more, but add some micro contrast. Okay, and then the feathers, I think I'll just add a little bit of vibrancy. And saturation just to bring out some of the, because it's not just gray, there's some browns in there and a little micro contrast. And then I like the little crab down there. I don't want people to miss that, so I'm just going to add some, just a little brightness in there. clear view and micro contrast. Okay. And let's add a pretty heavy vignette. Um, so I'm going to center that right there, invert it. Let's move this up. Oops, wrong one. Okay, and then I think generally speaking, let me try some different color profiles. I think I like this vibrant. And then I'm going to add a little more vibrancy down here and push the brightness up a tad. Maybe use a control line down here. Just temper that a bit. Maybe temper this area too. Let's reduce the luma and chroma. The same thing there. Okay. Maybe one more up here. A little brightening. All right, let's export that. And see how that looks. All right, so here's the edit. I think it's much richer and punchier now. More saturated colors, basically. And then just tempering the surrounding areas so that it stands out more. I might add a little more brightness to the crab if I continued editing, but uh, particularly the browns here in the feathers, I wanted to make sure those showed because it's not so obvious here, but I can see it on my monitor. It's very, very subtle. And then we'll do a split. So that's the original. And then there's the edit. And I think that came out pretty nice. Now, some people, what they like to do is, uh, I think you can be a lot more dramatic. Let me just try real quick. What I can do is, um, let's try and select this bird like that. We'll invert it and we'll just pull everything down. Let me think. Let me think for a second. Uh, okay. And then I had a vignette right here. Right? That's my vignette. Why isn't that doing what I thought it would do? Something like this. Back here. And then we'll do some control points. Not that one. Let's bring this in. And AI mask. Oh, I'm not doing a good job. Doing this at night is not my jam, I guess. Ah, bring this in. Well, that's marginally better. I shouldn't have done that, but let me keep trying. Or let's just do a quick comparison and move on. Uh, okay, so again, here's the original. I'm sorry, this is the original. There's my edit. I overdid it a little bit, but I think it's the key points are just the saturation and the contrast, right? Uh, I think overall that looks a little better. And then let's check the fine detail and see how we did there. Yeah, that looks really good. So there's the original. So the optics module, it always does a really good job at pulling the detail in. So I think that came out really good. Fine feathers and God, what a weird beak. I thought water was dripping off of that guy, but it's actually part of his beak. But yeah, that looks pretty awesome if you want to crop in. All right. Let's do the next one. And let's do a portrait. This is from G. McCurdy. Okay. Let's do a basic preset. And I like the lighting. The composition, I'm not keen on. It's a little bit too much headroom. So I'm going to have to give some thought about that might be too tight. Maybe. I'm not really a portrait guy, but I'm gonna try. Ooh, okay, I think that works. So let me try and uh I think the background, let me just check something. I need to do it the other way. Do it this way. Oops, oops. I have the AI mask. Dang it. Okay. I remember what I need to do is we got this, I have this mask. Okay, let me start over. What I want to do is into a control line, come this way, and darken this, and then do, oops, add a sub mask, select her. No, that's not what I want. Sub mask. Let me do it. Sorry. Let me try one more time. Sub mask, AI, then just select her. Okay, and then hole puncher. Okay. All right. That didn't make much difference, but we'll take it. Sometimes I just overthink it. Let me just let me just do what I always do. Just go into the eyes, give a little bit of color in there, some micro contrast, and then let's use this brush, try and get rid of some of the shine. And just pick something down here and some of the shine in here. Okay, a little bit less. There we go. Looks good. And then let's let's pick the whites of her eyes and pull out the red veins. So all I do is I just desaturate kind of the red orange area. like that. Did I get it or not? Let me do it with a, it's not selecting the red. Let me do it the, yeah, that should work. And just desaturate a little bit. Okay, let's use a healing brush. Oh no, I don't have to do this much work. I haven't, this is a little different than when I was in DxO Photolab 8. All right, let's just leave it. We'll just fix this one. Yeah, a little bigger brush. All right, that's good enough. Let's add a little bit of shine into the hair. Let's temper the highlight on the shoulder. And then maybe add a little bit of vignette down here. Okay. Let me see where we're at. Let me do a side by side. Okay. I think that's all I would normally do with a portrait. The only other thing is usually I like to soften the face a little bit. So I'm going to add one more control point and a little bit on the skin and just pull the micro contrast back. I think that's it. So let me check my sharpening tool here. Make sure I don't want to overdo it there. Maybe add a little bit and go back to that mask. This one, pull the micro contrast in a bit, maybe the regular contrast in. Push the reds a little bit. And then color profile, natural, I think looks good. See what vibrant is. No. Portrait one looks pretty nice. You just look at natural. All right, I think that's it. So you export that. Okay, so uh there's the original on the right. This is my edit on the left. It's a very subtle change, but I think it's a little nicer, a little softer. And let's do a slider. Maybe we can just zoom in side by side because it's really in the face, right? It's one little blemish here I might fix, but definitely I think the eyes, making the eyes pop a little bit extra is the key to this portrait, and then softening the shine here and there, and that's all you really need to do. Uh, and then normally I increase micro contrast, but I reduced it just to kind of reduce the effect of the skin pores. But I think this one little blemish right here I should have fixed. But other than that, I think it looks pretty good. Okay. Very nice. Very nice. Very pretty girl. Let's see. Thanks for sending that one. Okay, we have a dirt road. Oops, I turned my webcam off. Sorry about that. This is interesting. I think this is a long exposure. Where's the EXIF data? Let me let me see what the ISO 6400, 120 seconds. Okay. I thought this first I thought it was overexposed, which it is, but this is a long exposure. Unfortunately, this is a JPEG, so this might be what someone was saying earlier about their image. They sent the JPEG in, so I may not be able to do anything with this. I will try. Yeah, all the data's gone. I'll do the best I can. I see what you're going for, but there's star trails, that yeah, this image is a little rough. Even if I had the raw image, the way the stars are, uh, not much I can do with this. Looks like maybe a little bit of there's a glow there. Let me select this road. This road needs some detail. And then let's, maybe not that much. Okay. Just want to make this a little bit darker in here. Wow. Sliders don't go very far before I start clipping things. If this were raw, I could like be really liberal with these, but I have to be really careful with a JPEG. See if I can shift that color. Uh, the white balance. Nope, it's just a little bit too far gone. Nope. Yeah, I can't do anything. Ah, but there's this green tint in here that I want to get rid of. There, that helps a little bit. And then let's see if we can do anything here. Yeah, there's no wiggle room at all. Okay, I think that's the best I can do. There's no point to export because it's a JPEG. Uh, so we'll just do a side by side. But like I said, even if I had the raw image, it would be tough. The stars are still going to be overexposed and clipped. But all I'd be able to do is work with the foreground a little more. So, wow. And yeah, you got these eggshells or whatever they call these things, trails here in the stars. Unless that's what you were going for, but generally you don't go for that. Generally you go for pinpoint stars, right? So you need to use a tracker. With a 17 millimeter lens, you can really only shoot for about 5 seconds before you start to lose your pinpoint stars, like a 5 second exposure, but certainly 120-second exposure is too much. Okay, uh, nice try. All right, let's try the next one. Oh, another JPEG. Wow. Okay, so this one clearly is just a bit too warm. So I'm just going to warm it up. I'm sorry, it's too cold. I need to warm it up. So let's do that. Let's bring in a control line and see if we can bring in any more detail in the clouds. Just a tiny bit. And then we'll do another control line. And I'm going to tighten up the luma and just see if I can. Uh, don't know if there's much I can do here. Yeah, no, nothing I can do there. So I'm going to just saturate them a little bit more. Okay. That's about all I can do with a JPEG because they're already edited and they're kind of cooked, especially when the JPEG is such a high dynamic range. I mean, you're going from a completely clipped whites to, a lot of clipped blacks. It's really hard to work with. Uh, composition wise, horizon is straight. Got a nice triangle here. And I like the cloud line. I think the composition is fine. I would probably done a very similar thing if I took the picture. But okay, so that's the before and after. Basically, just needed to be warmed up, and I'm lucky I could even do that with a JPEG. Okay, uh, Bamsem says 15 seconds, not five, maybe. 17. I'd have to, I don't doubt you. I would probably not do 15 seconds. I'd probably do 5 to 10 at most with a 17. Because I'm just to give you some perspective, with like my 8 millimeter fisheye, I don't do more than 20 seconds, before I start to see little trails. And that's with an 8 millimeter. So cut that in half, you get about 10 seconds. I would say 10 seconds would be my max on a 17 personally. All right. Let's do the next one. Oh, got an eagle. I think he's going after this. Looks like a snow geese. Or are they just buddies? I don't know. Maybe they're friends. All right, so let's apply basic preset. And I do have a raw image this time. Let's do a quick crop. All right. Uh, that looks good. And then it's a little bit flat. And let's see if we can just bring out a little bit of color in here. Oops, not temperature. I will do the temperature, but right now I just want to do vibrancy. Here and here and here. And we'll add a little more light, maybe under the wings a bit, just a tad. A little bit extra push on the shadows and micro contrast and some clear view. Okay, and then let's see if we can temper the water a bit. Use the AI tool to select it. And then there we go. Well, not that much. All right, that's good. Let's make a new mask. I want to maybe just bring a little more light up there, a little more color. And then let's warm up the image in general. Where were we? 57. Let's try 62. Okay. Let me go back to the eagle. This part of the wing, I just need a little more contrast. There and there. A little smaller. And then we'll add a little dot for the eye. Just a little bit of a push here. A little bit of color. Okay. I keep forgetting I gotta back off some of this sharpening. All right, let's use the loop tool and then check for some of the details. Maybe about right there. And let's check the unsharp mask, just a little bit extra. Okay. Let me check the other guy here. I think he's fine. All right, so we've cropped down to about 3 megapixels here, but maybe a little vignette. Just a tad brighter. All right, let's export that and see how that comes out. Do this side by side. I'll reset this. Okay, so yeah, pretty heavy cropping here, right? I cropped into just a 3 megapixel area, so there's probably less than 1 megapixel here, and certainly a fraction down here in terms of detail. But if I think overall, let's just zoom in. I think overall it did a pretty good job of bringing back that detail. Um, yeah, it looks good. That's best we can do anyway, comparatively. And we'll just do a split view. But yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, let's go to the next one. Uh, wow, it's like JPEG night tonight. All right, let's try this one. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to do much. Composition, we'll just square it off. Uh, oops, let me select the square. Center that by eye, like that. Let me apply an optical correction. Where is it? Doesn't look like I can do that either because it's a JPEG. So yeah, it's it's not able to. Um, because I'm assuming the camera's already applied everything. So let's just zoom in and we'll deal with some of this fine detail. I'm into Oops, bit too much. Just no, right about there. Yeah, well, I guess the default was fine. Okay, and then let's give it a little bit of clear view and some micro contrast. And maybe just a little extra noise reduction. Just all we can use is standard on right about just a hair. Okay. So again, I don't need to export because it's already a JPEG. So we'll just do a side by side. I'm introducing some artifacts here. Let me try and see if I can minimize that. Okay. Or was it better this way? No, yeah, that's bringing in too many artifacts. Let's do it this way. Check the micro contrast. And then we'll just push it just a tad, tad. Okay. Um, so yeah, side by side, you can see this looks a little crispier, right? So we'll just use the slider. So that's before, and that's after. And it may be too crispy for some. It's easy enough, just back off the unsharp mask a little. But I think that came out pretty good for JPEG. Fortunately, I didn't have to work with white balance or colors or anything, because then the white balance would really be suffering. Okay, next one. Okay, this one's from William. Everything looks good. I think I'll just do a basic preset and 16 by 9. Just kind of split the scene into thirds like that. Uh, Tiny bit of clear view, and then temper the foreground just a bit. Maybe add a spot of light right there. Just give it a little kiss. Not that much, and a little warmth. And some micro contrast on that. Where is it? Here. Okay, just a tad more. All right. Um, maybe temper the highlight on this one house. Maybe on that house too. See if we can bring out a little bit of detail in the sky. But we don't want to lose the haze in the mountain. So let me see if I can. Actually, if I use the AI tool, it might be better. Uh, let's see. Yeah, there we go. Just give it a little clear view. I'll bring out a little extra micro contrast and a little bit of warmth. Okay. I think we're done. So we'll export that one and reset and compare. So yeah, this image was pretty much done when I got it. I just had to bring in the sky a little bit, add a little extra light here, and then temper the highlights down in here, and that was it. Uh, but look at it this way. Yeah, very nice. Very nice, pretty much straight out of camera. It just needed a tiny bit of processing, I think. And a little bit of crop. I like wide crops for scenes like this. All right. Let's see what else we got. Okay. So let's get the optics module for this. So these are two different shots, but the editing is going to be the same. So I'm just going to edit one, then copy and paste it. So let's do a little bit of horizon correction. Hold on, let me apply basic preset first. Basic preset, fix the horizon. Let's check the white balance. Let's do daylight. I've never, I should have took some time to see what the aurora. A lot of people from my photo club went to go take pictures of this, and I was just too tired because I'm just not a night person. Gosh, daylight looks awful. Normally I do daylight when I do nighttime. Uh, but let's just stick with that because that's what I normally do. And let's run a very tight Luma mask here, along with chroma. I'm just gonna bring Bring the skies in a little bit. Okay, right up in there. Let's add just a little bit of glow down here. And I think just a global clear view will work. I gotta do something about this color. What was the original? 6,000. Man, I'm gonna have to go. If I eyeball it, something. Gosh, I'm totally losing the green though. All right, now I see some red up here, which I think is supposed to be there. So let's see. Let's make a new control point in here. Give it a little saturation. We don't need any there. Uh, go back to my other control point. That's my first one. It seems like there's some red in here. So let me try. Yeah, it's a little bit of red in there. So if I select, not red, but like this purplish magenta, let's not saturate it too much. Okay, let's see where we're at. I think that green glow is normal. So BombSem says try 38 or 40. Yeah, that didn't look right. If I go back to the white balance, you're saying try 38 to 42. Uh, Maybe. I still think closer to daylight looks right to me. Try daylight again. All right. Uh, hmm. Gosh, this is harder than it looks. All right, let's export that. Hmm. Well, hopefully I brought out a little more color and contrast. It's just this white balance is not, I don't know what to do with it. But we got a few more stars peeking through, and that's partially for the clear view. And then maybe a little micro contrast wouldn't hurt. But let's do, I'm gonna copy these same settings over to the next one. Let me get, whoops, go over to this one. Yeah, so I'm gonna copy and then paste it over there. Yeah, pretty much the same thing. They're the same picture, right? More or less. Yeah, sorry, Anthony. That's the best I can do. I'm not really an Aurora editing guy. Plus, I'm tired. I don't know why. I just can't do these streams at night. But that's okay. We'll keep going. Um, yeah, I guess that looks okay. Ooh, last one. Wow. All right. So apply basic preset. I think all we have to do here, wow, this is really contrasty already. Uh, man, I don't think I need to do anything here except maybe, I mean, the composition is fine. I'm thinking maybe just come in a little tighter like that. And then let's look at a black and white real quick and mess with the channel mixer here. Hmm. Go back to the color. Okay. Let's try a control point with some micro contrast. Let's make this rake stand out a little bit. Just give it some clear view. And this broom just needs a touch. Touch more light there. And we'll just soften it a bit. Wonder, let me check down here. Okay. Let's work with some of the sliders now. Hmm. I'm going to try and just temper some of the highlights on these leaves. Because I just want the image a little bit softer. Go back to this mask. Ah, I think this is futile. Okay, I think the tones are fine now. What I need is, all right, how'd we do? Okay, I go back to this one, this first mask. Okay, I just need that. It was just so much contrast. It's almost like I'm trying to soften the image without losing too much of the color. Let me check the black and white again. Okay, I think we're okay now. And then let's just make the leaves a little bit more. So right in here, that grass. Just trying to soften the color a little bit on the grass too. And then last, maybe just a hair of a vignette. Okay, I think that's it. So, uh, sometimes when I was working in the black and white, it helps me see the tones a little bit better. And I was thinking I might go all in on black and white, but then I couldn't separate the leaves from the grass in the black and white image. If I could do that, I might have stuck with it, but I couldn't get it to, I just like when I do this, everything kind of blends together. I couldn't separate anything, so I had to use color to separate. But at least with the black and white, I got the tones where I wanted them, and that made working in the color a little bit easier. So let's do a quick comparison. So just a little bit more muted over here and less contrast uh, in the edit. That's kind of what I had to do because this image here on the right, the original, is just it's almost like you were using a polarizer too because there's hardly any reflections. But probably not. Probably you weren't, but it just feels like it. And then uh I think the broom, I wanted to keep that as bright as possible, but it kind of blended with the tree a little bit. So combination of vignette and working with some of the local adjustments, I dimmed this tree down, made it a little darker, but I had to mute the colors a bit just overall. Just overall, I had to mute the colors, but I think that came out pretty good actually. So, and then cropping in, right? Nice little square crop. It's almost like I could have cropped in even tighter. Uh, I wonder. If I'd have just cropped in right to there. I think that works. I like this too. Give it maybe just a little more symmetry. Let me go back. Just split it that way. Oh, it is fully polarized? Huh. Is this your shot, John? I didn't even check the name. Oh, this is your shot. Okay. So it is fully polarized. It felt like it. I wasn't sure because when I saw what lens you were using, I said, well, that lens is pretty solid. 'Cause this is what the 40 to 150, right? So I was like, that lens is pretty. I don't have this lens, but I know it's very sharp. So I was thinking, but yeah, uh, I feel like this composition kind of works for me. It simplifies the scene quite a bit coming in this tight. Uh, I think the polarization was a good idea because otherwise it'd have been even harder to edit this image. It had just been too many speculars. Um, this looks, I don't know. What do you think, John? Do you like that composition or did you like the original, the way you had it? You like the square crop. Okay. I like this nice tight square. Say better, more than I had it before. Because this was my original crop, but I think this crop works better. Uh, I think this tighter crop works better than this crop. I like this where it's just these two, the broom and the rake with the leaves. But okay. Wow, tough night. Tough night. I had a tough night anyway. Man, I had to do the aurora. That was hard. Uh, that was a hard one. What else did I work on that kind of I was getting JPEGs like this one. This one was hard. It was a JPEG. Oh, you can't see what I'm looking at. Hold on. This one was hard, this JPEG. I couldn't adjust anything. This one was hard. Another JPEG where I couldn't adjust anything anywhere near what it needs to be. Uh, this one was pretty straightforward. Very straightforward on this one too. I think this is my favorite image for the night though. Let's see what else we got. I mean, I love dogs. Maybe this is my favorite. But in terms of editing, this came out pretty good. Yeah, I guess some of these came out all right. I'm not terribly happy with my portrait edit, but I guess it's okay. Uh, yeah, I guess this came out pretty good compared to the original. But even portraits are hard for me sometimes because I'm not usually editing headshots like this one was, right? Usually I'm doing like events. I can show you a couple of event pictures I do, um, where it's multiple people or groups of people. I rarely have to edit like one person, but I think I did okay on that one. But some of the things I always do, I always try to remove shine on people's face. I always brighten the eyes and then add a little shine to the hair and then soften the skin by, negative micro contrast. And that keeps it pretty realistic, but makes the person look a little nicer. And then try to remove the red eye. I haven't had to do that in a while though. Uh, the little red veins. I used to do it with that same brush in Photolab 8 and then desaturate the reds, but it wasn't quite working in Photolab 9 the way it does in 8. So I'm gonna have to work on that a little bit and see if I can get that workflow back to the way I had it before. But okay, you guys, thanks so much for joining me. I know it's late. There's only a few of you left here. If you're watching this later tomorrow, uh, thanks for joining me tomorrow. But I will probably rather than doing these at night because my brain is mush. I've been busy all day, and by the time by 7, 8 o'clock, I'm like my brain is already exhausted. So I think I'll do these maybe on a Saturday morning once in a while, but otherwise I'm going to stick to Friday mornings. That's kind of when I'm at my best is in the morning. But I appreciate everybody sending these images in to me. I'm always learning something new myself, like uh, the red eye in the face, and then some of the masking issues I had with the bird. I forget what kind of bird but that bird that had a really long beak. I didn't quite get the effect I wanted there. I need to work on that as well. Because what I had in my mind, I wasn't able to reproduce here in the editing session. So it's good practice for me as well. But hopefully, you guys picked up a few ideas about how to edit your own images and use the tools in Photolab. Um, and that's why we're here, right? To kind of work together, learn together. So I do appreciate you sending your images in. And if you like the work that I did here, You can always support the channel, of course, becoming a member, making a donation, all the usual stuff. But thanks so much for joining me tonight. I will be back on Sunday, God willing, for a normal live stream. We're going to talk about cameras and lenses and stuff. But until then, eat healthy, exercise, and I hope to see you guys again soon.